Yes. So we have reached now that we are not the three bodies, we are not the five sheets, and we are not the three states. Then what is this real self? Before we contemplate on that question, we should understand how these masters have explained and have presented, have helped the seekers to discover the real self. First thing, that the real self cannot be expressed. It is a subjective reality. Real self cannot be expressed in the world. The language is linear. And if we are regularly following this series, then we can appreciate that the language. Why? One answer is the real self is multidimensional. It transcends the time and the space. The language can express only what is in time and space. We need to contemplate and reflect. It's not a part-time practice. All the time, we maintain that awareness. So now see another problem that our master faced. There was not a print medium was not there in those days. So they found a technique which is known as Shravanam, listening and learning. I have been repeating it again. Take an example of modern day, modern education. The kids goes to the school. What did you learn? Oh, A, apple. B, bat. C, cat, etc. So it is a suggestive technique to learn the alphabets, isn't it? To understanding the world by now, that is only the beginning. A is not apple, but we accept from the kids, oh, you are good. You are an intelligent kid. You are an intelligent kid. That is what we are learning until now. So if we build a big ego, I have learned anything, everything. This is none of the three bodies, this is five sheets, and we are already there. The first step is the suggestion technique, followed by understanding the world, by joining the different alphabets. Then comes the grammar that defines the noun, verb, pronoun, etc. That is the way this listening and learning takes place. Did you get it? Say yes, even if you don't get it.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, very good. Oh, only one yes. So, but Eastern wisdom, now the challenge has been accepted by our great masters how to bring this journey of self discovery through these words and language and alphabets. So it's a suggestion. Here's an apple. Apple is a suggestion. Three sheet, three bodies is a suggestion. Five sheet is a suggestion. Three states are a suggestion. So if we do not go deeper, I have found it. Close your eyes, focus on the breath, and we have reached there. How many people have reached by this simple technique? Oh, I know it. So nowadays we have audio medium, we have visual medium, we have print media are available. Perhaps the first book was published around 800 AD. I don't remember exactly. First thing. But so our masters developed the technique of listening and learning. And in that listening and learning, we have every word that is spoken by the masters is like a zip file, zip folder. See another example. The Rabia was a great women master who lived in the Himalayan state of Kashmir. So she had lived in a cottage with the trees all around in a forest. A young guy from southern India, I should use the southern India. In India, we say South India. We don't use that word. So a young guy who covered 1,000 miles to meet the master. So he asked, "Who am I?" So the women master said, "Take rest, I will answer you tomorrow in the morning." So now you see the suggestive technique. So all these, what we are learning, it is all the alphabet. Oh, how long I have to be with you? Normally I get upset with you, because you don't explain the questions that I ask you. So the master do not answer your questions coming from the mind. Master always answers you. So when he woke up in the morning, he found this guy. This women master was searching a needle under a tree outside the cottage. So he asked, "What happened?" "No, I lost a needle in my cottage inside, and I'm searching the needle outside." Suggestive technique. So we have lot of parables like this. Lot of parables. So rationally, we can say, "Oh, she is crazy. She is finding the needle outside." But this is an answer to him. That why you have traveled 1,000 miles from your home to me to find who you are. So now, if your mind contemplates and reflects and sits down, you are on a journey to become a qualified seeker. And if you say you are crazy, how dare you say that the needle is lost in the cottage and you are searching it outside? It's a common sense. So these common sense techniques to find the real self will not apply in this journey. Very clear. So once we understand this part, then we can think that, okay, let us see what is real self, keeping these two things in the mind. And I gave you an example last time. Happiness. I am happiness. I have found the real self. I am happy. So that happiness is equal to mathematical equation is I am plus object. So now I'm a seeker. We all are seekers. Say, yes, I'm a seeker. I have started finding, for the last 20 years, and I'm so much frustrated. Really? Say, yes. Frustrated, it means you are not a seeker. Seeker is never frustrated. No, anyhow. So happiness is equal to I am plus object. Are you 100% clear that why I should find the real self? Sure? Yes, I know it. That's very good. Only Ashok says that. I am aware as a seeker that there is a regular perception of the duality, desire, and delusion in the mind with that awareness, I keep it aside in order to find the real self in all my thought, speech, and action. Then only I'm a seeker. Then I've done 1 minute. I'm very busy. I will attend later. Okay, I have no issue. So, why should I know the real self? The intellect and the mind is totally absorbed into the answer of this question. And that is another suggestive phrase is used. Why I want to know my real self? I want to bring an end to the suffering. But I am extremely busy. You have already washed everything. Are you getting it? Even if you're not getting it, if you listen to it again and again. The end of suffering and awakening to inner peace and happiness. This thought remains present in my mind while expressing thought, speech, and action. Then only we can find the real self. Now come to the main question. Oh, you did not define real self. I'm just waiting for definition. Once you define it, then even though I know it, but you define it. Look at the mind. We have to live into that awareness. Mind is habitual, instinctive, impulsive, and it brings back the ignorance. And there is 99.999% that we fall back into the same ignorance if I do not continue in my head. It is not attending my session, it is attending to your mind. With Shravan means listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, and practice. What is most important in your life? To find the real self or to attend to a lot of other stuff that are not very important or that are important for the objective work? So if that awareness lives in the mind, then no one can stop you reaching to that state. So now come back to the main topic. Now you are doing a good job. Say to me. Well, we just want to know what is real self. That's all. Don't beat about the bush. Yes, I'm coming. So, what is real self? We have studied, we have understood that we are none of the three bodies. We are not the five sheet. We are not the three states. Now the master say, then what is the real self? He asks the question and he answers. So now he answers. Do you remember the linear language is linear? So he says this real self is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. It is Satchidanand. So you see the step by step understanding of this journey. Then the master asks the question again, puts the question. Okay, then what is this Sat? What is this Chit? What is this Ananda? So you see the way suggestive technique works. It is not the three bodies. So I am aware. Anytime the mind goes to the three bodies that is constantly changing, I keep my mind calm. I do not allow the mind to get carried away by anything, any perception with reference to the three bodies. Then I have understood that I am not the five sheet. So still that awareness rules. The moment I see any change, any symptom, न मे द्वेष रागो न मे लोभ मोह मदो नैव मेनेव मात्सर्य भाव न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्ष चिदानंद रूप शिवोहम शिवोहम. You see again the suggestive tool in the form of a verses. Name dvesh ragu. I am neither attachment nor detachment. Can my mind live into that state of awareness even for a few seconds so that I have a glimpse that I'm none of these five sheep? No, who cares you after this session? I'm deeply attached to so many things. So my mind falls back into ignorance. I feel as if 1 hour of spiritual life is different from 23 hours of material life. Are you understanding? I hide myself in order to reach to the highest for 1 hour of meditation, and I become the same person outside just after 1 hour of meditation. So your mind is subjected to change. Wherever there is a change, there is no real self. Are you getting it? Yes. Say yes, I'm getting it perfectly. Modern psychology talks of bipolar disorders. We are multipolar. We are one person in the session. We are a second person in my personal life. We are third person in our professional life. We are a fourth person in our social life. We are a fifth person. न मे द्वेष रागो न मे लोभ मोह मदो नैव मेनेव मात्सर्य भाव. I am none of these. I am not a delusion. Nor I am a pride. Not I don't have a false ego. No, yeah, ego will definitely come, but I reject it in my mind. So again, I'm stressing. I am fully aware that I am none of the three bodies. Simply, it is not an intellectual learning. It is a living reality. I maintain that awareness. If I live into that awareness, then I am a perfect seeker. I'm getting bored, How many times you will repeat it? Don't get bored, If you get bored, then you are not a seeker. No, I'm not saying. It's Master's saying. So you do understand that clearly. Name dvesh rago na. This Master clearly says, na punyam na papam na sakhyam na dukkham. I'm neither sin nor virtue. Na punyam na papam na sakhyam na dukkham. I'm neither sorrow nor happiness. just after this session, your honey says you something and you get disturbed. Why don't you listen to me? I'm neither the sorrow nor happiness. It comes from the five sheet. It is not intellectual learning, but applying in daily life. Understood, Ashok? Only one guy understands him. So you see that. So that has to be maintained. So when we say inner calm, tolerance, and modern science says empathy, I'm selfish. Empathy lives in here and it has an effect outside. I want to find the real self. That is the goal. That is why I have an empathy. Not because I should have an empathy to the world. I follow we follow the practice, the seeker follows the practice of non-violence because it is required to find the real self. It has nothing to do with outside. We are going, So then we live into that state. Then the master says, do you know what is real self? So a simple answer the master gives, it is absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss. Or you say continued state of happiness. One thing more to understand in the language, in the journey of the language, that sometimes we give an indirect definition of the real self. Here we have given the indirect definition. Sorry to repeat it again. We are not the three bodies, we are not the five sheets, we are not the three states. And then we give the direct definition. So, what is indirect definition? That points out that this, what we are not. That is how we find out, if you have a number, my house number in the street, and it is 7304, and you see 73010, and you say, I'm very near to your house, I will reach within a minute, I'm already at 7310, and your house number is 734. You see that sort of awareness is required, and that awareness can be attained by becoming a seeker. So you have to think in these terms. You're talking to your honey or anyone. The moment you think, speak, and act. So you are fully aware that it is all the three bodies and the five sheet is expressing itself in the changing world, but my journey is to find the permanent real self. Then we come to the direct definition. What is that direct definition? That Satchidanand. I am Satchit Anand. Satchidanand Bhagwan ki jai. What is real self? It is absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss. So here it demands a deep contemplation and reflection so that this linear language can be transcended. I can give you hundreds of examples. Do you love me? Can you put love in a linear movement. Even hate. Forget about love. Do you hate me? Yes. Honesty. You see? Honesty, love, empathy. Then we try to explain, oh, it's a feeling, it's an emotion. It's a kind of a feeling, it's an emotion, and we add a lot of words. It's purely a subjective feeling. Do you know the difference between emotion and feeling? The emotion is basically a reaction. Science says it is a reaction. It's a physiological, biochemical, nervous reaction of what I feel inside. So that feeling of love is inside and expression is outside. Did you get it? Feeling and emotion. Sometimes we feel very extreme hatred inside and we say, okay, hey, how are you? I love you, I care you, thank you. Care yourself. That duality must go from the mind so that mind can reflect this Satchidanand, absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss. I spoke a lot of things. First is suggestive understanding, suggestive technique. Because in ancient days, there was no print medium, there was no visual aid, there were no books. So they compress the entire journey into a different verses. Or you can simply say zip file or folders. And that is why we say it's a master and a seeker tradition, where the master opens the zip folder and based on the temperament of an individual, the guy who traveled 1,000 miles, at least his mind was totally fixed on who am I. So there the suggestive technique worked. Rabia, the women master, said, why you have traveled 1,000 miles to know the answer, to find who am I? Sit down, close your eyes, and know who am I. So he simply followed that practice and he reached there. The same thing happened to the Buddha. After 6 years, for 6 years, it took him to become a seeker. What we study in Buddhism, mindfulness, here and now, live in the present moment. He reached that present moment after 6 years. So unless we hit that area of the false eye to clean, to become aware, to clearly understand, and continue to live in the state that I am none of the three bodies and I am none of the five sheath, I am none of the three states, then we can reach to the definition and we will understand that definition in the next session. So close your eyes. Close your eyes.